The Stoics, an ancient school of philosophy, believed that true strength lies not in conquering external forces, but in mastering our own emotions. In today's world, this wisdom is more relevant than ever. Have you ever felt drained by negativity after interacting with someone toxic? People can disrupt our mental well-being, leaving us feeling frustrated and powerless. But what if there were practical strategies to navigate these difficult dynamics? We'll go over 13 practical Stoic-inspired ideas in this video that will give you the ability to handle toxic people with compassion, grace, and even resilience. Join me on a journey to protect your emotional well-being and subscribe to the channel for more tips on developing mental resilience. By the end of this video, you'll be equipped with a toolbox of Stoic wisdom to handle toxic people effectively. So take a deep breath and let's begin. Number 1. Identifying and understanding the toxic threat. Take a moment to picture yourself serving as a guard at the entrance to your very own personal citadel. Your inner tranquility, physical health, and emotional safety are all represented by this citadel. Without a doubt, awareness is the first line of defense in the process of protecting this fortress. Just as a watchful guard must notice potential dangers, you need to be able to recognize the indicators that a toxic individual is approaching. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who was a proponent of reason and self-control, tells us in his Enchiridion that it is not what happens to you that upsets you. More importantly, it is your judgment of what happens. It is especially important to keep this piece of advice in mind while dealing with toxic people. It is not the case that their negative attitudes and manipulative acts have the ability to exert force over you. Your emotional reaction to these activities and how you perceive them are the factors that determine the effect they have on your sense of inner peace at any given moment. How to cultivate a Stoic gaze, a calm and objective method of viewing the situation, is the key to success. Learning to recognize the characteristics of toxic conduct is a necessary step in this process. Listed below are some important warning signs. 1. Constant criticism. A toxic individual may find nothing but fault with you, your conduct, or the decisions you make on a consistent basis. Although this criticism may be indirect or overt, it will always leave you feeling deflated and uncertain about your abilities. 2. Deceptive strategies. Toxic people frequently resort to deceptive strategies to achieve their goals. They may use flattery, guilt trips, or even threats to exert control over your conduct. 3. Negativity. A toxic person appears to thrive on negativity. They are continuously whining and pulling others down with their pessimism, focusing on the worst aspects of the problems they are concerned with. Additionally, there are several types of toxic personalities that you should be aware of. 1. The narcissist. This person is constantly looking for approval and adoration. They may be charming at first, but their interactions are ultimately one-sided, leaving you feeling emotionally exhausted. 2. The gossip. This individual thrives on social turmoil. They propagate rumors, stir up trouble, and take pleasure in causing friction between other people. 3. The energy vampire. This person has the ability to drain your vitality. Interactions with them leave you feeling cognitively and emotionally drained and fatigued. The development of a mental map of the potential dangers that could befall your inner citadel can be accomplished by first gaining awareness of these toxic personalities and their actions. Just as a Roman Stoic philosopher like Seneca might devise a plan to combat an adversary on the battlefield, you can use your newly acquired awareness to anticipate the strategies employed by potentially harmful individuals and devise a strategy to safeguard your emotional well-being. Number 2. Fortify your walls. Put yourself in the shoes of Marcus Aurelius, the famous Stoic emperor of Rome. In order to rule a vast empire, one needed to possess power, knowledge, and unyielding determination. When it comes to strengthening the walls of your own inner citadel, often known as your emotional well-being, these same attributes are vital. Undoubtedly, the boundaries you establish are the foundation of this citadel. When dealing with toxic people, boundaries are the clear lines you create to demarcate your limits. They determine the kinds of conduct you will and will not approve of. You should not permit poisonous people to intrude on your emotional territory, just as a powerful monarch would not allow his boundaries to be violated. Here, Stoic philosophy plays a crucial role, emphasizing the importance of reason and self-control. To take the initial step, you must first determine which activities deplete your energy or violate your sense of self. Is it the persistent pessimism shared by a friend, when a co-worker engages in manipulative behavior, or the intrusive counsel of a family member? Make sure you are open and honest with yourself about what you will not tolerate. The next step, after determining these boundaries, is to communicate them clearly and concisely. Tap into your inner Marcus Aurelius and be firm while still being fair. To facilitate effective communication, consider the following strategies. Reflect on how you are feeling and use I statements rather than making accusatory remarks. Instead of saying, "You are always so negative," try saying, "I feel drained when you constantly focus on the unpleasant things." Be as specific as possible. Avoid vague statements like, "I need some space." Instead, say something like, "I can't talk right now, but I'd be happy to chat later this week." Keep your word, but be kind at the same time. There is a distinction between being assertive and being aggressive. It is important to convey your point with self-assurance while avoiding animosity. Establishing boundaries is not a one-time experience. When it comes to enforcing your boundaries, you need to be firm and consistent. Just like a Stoic ruler who is always on guard against barbarian invasions, a wall that is unstable is easy to dismantle. If a toxic individual disregards your limits, remind them calmly of the established line. It may even be necessary to restrict your interaction with the person or completely withdraw from the situation. Remember, establishing limits is not about punishing someone. Rather, it is about protecting yourself. Envy, a vice that frequently serves as a source of poisonous talk, was vigorously avoided by the Stoics. Through the establishment of boundaries, you are not engaging in selfish behavior. You are merely safeguarding your emotional well-being and creating the space necessary to build inner peace. Within the context of your Stoic path toward a life of peace, a strong citadel characterized by clearly defined and well-defended boundaries is essential. Number 3. Become uninteresting to the emotional barbarian. Consider a ferocious emotional barbarian driven by pessimism and looking for dramatic conflict. Certain toxic individuals act in this manner. They rely on attention, and their negativity thrives on provoking an emotional response. A glimmer of fury or hurt that fuels their fire. They constantly poke with insults. The Stoic ideals of emotional regulation and indifference to external stimuli inspired the grey rock method, which is a strong tool in this context. Paul Fredman, a therapist, created the grey rock method. It involves being emotionally less receptive. It is not about completely shutting down, but rather providing the emotional equivalent of a smooth grey rock, a neutral, unyielding surface that does not offer any handholds for negativity to cling to. To further dissect this approach, let us draw upon the sage advice of Seneca, a great Roman Stoic philosopher. Seneca tells us that true happiness resides in enjoying the present without anxious dependence upon the future. This reminds us to starve ourselves of the need for attention. Toxic people often seek attention, whether positive or negative. With the grey rock method, you prevent them from experiencing the emotional response they are looking for. In the midst of the storm they attempt to generate, you become uninteresting, just like a dull rock. Responses that are neutral serve as your armor. The grey rock method entails reacting to negative statements with neutral and truthful responses. It is important to refrain from becoming involved in emotional disputes or justifications. If a toxic friend insults your work, you can deflect their attack by saying, "That's interesting," without giving them more fuel for their negativity. Toxic people frequently attempt to control your emotions. Thus, it is crucial to avoid getting sucked into their emotional vortex. They might resort to sarcasm, guilt trips, or even plain hostility. In such situations, the most important thing is to disengage from their emotional vortex. Maintain your composure and respond in a factual manner, refusing to become involved in their drama. Keep in mind that Seneca teaches that the path to genuine happiness is to not amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears. Do not give them the emotional power they seek. The grey rock method is a potent tool, but it is not a miracle cure. Some toxic personalities may initially escalate their conduct, testing your emotional rock. Keep your cool, be consistent, and remember that you are not to blame for their negativity. By applying this STOIC-influenced method, you can transform yourself from a passive victim of their emotional theatrics into an unmoved spectator, defending your inner calm and emotional well-being. Number 4. The broken record technique. Imagine being subjected to a never-ending onslaught of manipulation, a toxic individual chipping away at your boundaries through deceptive arguments and emotional ploys. Being subjected to such persistent attacks can be both emotionally draining and unpleasant. However, the Stoic principles of unshakable reason and perseverance serve as the inspiration for the broken record technique, which emerges as a potent defense. The broken record technique is a strategy developed to combat deceptive tactics. It involves patiently repeating a clear declaration about your position, similar to how a broken record skips on the same unchanging message. This method, which appears straightforward, can be remarkably powerful in repelling attempts to derail you and maintaining a firm focus on your needs. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. Therefore, let us delve deeper into this technique by drawing upon his wisdom. Epictetus emphasized that freedom is the only good, describing the power of perseverance. This freedom encompasses the ability to set your own boundaries and the liberty to say no without providing an explanation. This essential principle is exemplified by the broken record technique. By reiterating your viewpoint calmly and relentlessly, you display steadfast resolution and prevent the manipulator from pulling you off course. Defending against emotional attacks aimed at gaining the upper hand, manipulators often deploy emotional strategies such as flattery, guilt trips, or fury to get you to do what they want. You can avoid these emotional assaults with the assistance of the broken record technique. By focusing on a factual statement of your position, you deflect their attempts to manipulate your emotions and keep the argument based on reason. The consistent repetition of your position can be very disconcerting to a manipulator. Repetition is considered a form of defense as it disrupts the flow of their conversation, throws them off balance, and exposes the hollowness of their arguments. Imagine a wave crashing against a strong rock. The rock does not move, while the wave eventually disappears. Contrary to popular belief, the broken record technique does not involve confrontation. Maintaining a firm focus on your stance while enforcing your boundaries calmly is crucial. Keep in mind that Stoicism places a strong emphasis on reason and logic, as guiding principles for managing life's challenges. By using this method, you empower yourself to resist exploitation and safeguard your inner peace with unyielding determination. Number 5. Don't take the bait. Imagine a skilled angler casting a line baited with negative thoughts, hoping to catch you in a whirlpool of emotional drama. They dangle provocations, insults, or guilt trips, seeking to elicit a reaction that will fuel their drama and feed their negativity. This is a common strategy employed by many toxic individuals. However, Stoic philosophy offers a great defense: indifference. This is not the same as apathy. Rather, it refers to being emotionally detached from something. The Stoics, particularly philosophers such as Epictetus, made a distinction between apathy and indifference. In their view, apathy characterized a lack of concern and listlessness, while indifference involves a disconnection from unpleasant feelings and judgments that distort our reason. When dealing with toxic people, this distinction is crucial. Here's how Stoic indifference can help you avoid taking the drama bait. 1. Be aware of the strategy. The first step is to recognize the strategy. Become familiar with the telltale signs that a toxic individual is attempting to lure you in. Is it a sarcastic remark, a veiled insult, or a guilt trip camouflaged as a suggestion? Once you identify the strategy, you have, to some extent, rendered it ineffective. The bait is designed to provoke a response such as wrath, annoyance, or defensiveness. It is important to detach yourself from the emotional hook. 2. Practice detachment. Stoic indifference allows you to avoid becoming emotionally entangled with the negative aspects of the situation. Consider the scenario where you refuse to take the bait. You examine it with cool composure, unaffected by its power to enrage you. By not responding to their negative comments, the power they have over you diminishes due to a lack of fuel. The drama they attempt to create cannot sustain itself in the absence of a response. Their scathing remarks remain suspended in the air, eventually losing their power. It is not necessary to become a heartless and uncaring machine. Stoicism promotes the expression of good emotions while emphasizing detachment from negative emotions that you cannot control, channeling your feelings toward things you can control. By practicing Stoic indifference, you transform yourself from a passive player in their drama into a peaceful observer. This demonstrates that you are unwilling to become entangled in their emotional web. Your inner serenity remains a refuge unaffected by the storms others attempt to generate. Number 6. The art of non-reaction. Imagine someone who is a verbal gladiator, a master of insults and barbs, who thrives on the heated back and forth of an argument. Some toxic individuals make this their domain, using words as weapons to incite anger, humiliate you, and ultimately lure you into their emotional sphere. Here is a Stoic strategy that is not only effective, but also frequently underappreciated: the art of non-reaction. When deployed thoughtfully, silence can be a powerful weapon against a verbal assault. It disrupts the dynamic they seek and disarms them. However, remaining silent does not come effortlessly to everyone. The desire to respond, defend ourselves, or win the argument is something we are often conditioned to feel. Stoicism, on the other hand, teaches us the importance of mastering our reactions. A stillness maintained at the appropriate moment indicates true control. To better understand the power of non-reaction, let us consider the writings of Marcus Aurelius, the well-known Roman Stoic emperor. Toxic people often rely on a predictable pattern. Their tone is pessimistic, and they anticipate a reaction from you. When you show anger, annoyance, or defensiveness, you add fuel to their fire and perpetuate the toxic dance. By choosing not to react, you disrupt this pattern. You deny them the emotional response they seek. Imagine a tennis player swinging their racket toward an empty court. Their powerful serve falls with a thud, and everything that follows is complete silence. In this context, silence is not empty. It is a form of communication that conveys meaning without words. This demonstrates that you have a high level of self-control and are unwilling to partake in their negative behavior. The message sent is one of strength and non-attachment to the emotional manipulation they employ. Marcus Aurelius advised us to waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Become one. The attributes of a good Stoic are exemplified by your quietude. You are calm, reasonable, and unmoved by external provocations. Prepare for escalation when using non-reaction. Initially, a toxic person may intensify their efforts by hurling further verbal insults to elicit a response. Maintain your composure and remain unmoved in your silence. Remember, quiet is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it is a powerful tool used by those who are truly strong. Non-reaction is not a universal solution, but is an important weapon in your Stoic armory. It has the potential to disarm toxic individuals, defend your inner peace, and demonstrate that you have control over your own emotions when used strategically. By choosing quiet, you're making a powerful statement in itself, as you refuse to engage in their game. Number 7. Limit your exposure. Imagine that you are inside your walled citadel, where your mental health is being painstakingly preserved by strict boundaries. During the entire process, however, even the most sturdy walls are not able to totally protect you from dangers that come from the outside. Contaminated individuals, just like persistent intruders, may nevertheless make an effort to penetrate your safeguards. The Stoic idea of controlling what you can control comes into play at this point in the discussion for you. Although you are unable to control the actions of toxic people, you are able to manage the amount of time you spend with them. One of the first lines of defense in this method is to reduce the amount of time you spend interacting with people who are toxic when it is possible. Establish a physical distance. Would you be able to completely avoid them? It is possible for you to reschedule a lunch engagement or to respectfully remove yourself from something that is being discussed. Keep in mind that this is not about being impolite. Rather, it is about protecting oneself. In the same way that a Stoic leader would not send his forces into a conflict that was not essential, you should not subject yourself to negativity that is simply not necessary. Nevertheless, it is not always feasible to avoid something completely. On occasion, toxic people may be people who work with you, members of your family, or even close friends and acquaintances. In these kinds of circumstances, establishing emotional distance becomes absolutely necessary. This can be accomplished by the following strategies. Epictetus, a notable Stoic philosopher, tells us that happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one another. This quote by Epictetus highlights the importance of mental detachment. Nevertheless, this does not imply emotional involvement. You are able to comprehend the pessimism of another individual without allowing it to color your attitude. Exercise mental detachment by observing their conduct in an impartial manner without allowing yourself to become emotionally invested in it. Cognitive reframing. Persons that are toxic to you will frequently attempt to control your feelings by using negativity. Cognitive reframing, a method greatly influenced by Stoic concepts, can be of great assistance in this situation. Transform their pessimism into an objective observation by reframing it. For instance, if a coworker is continually complaining, you may reframe the situation as, "They appear to be having a difficult day," rather than allowing their negativity to bring you down. Toxic people thrive on negativity. Thus, it is important to focus on the positive. Try not to give them the ability to take away your happiness. Make a concerted effort to concentrate on the positive aspects of your life, such as the personal interests you enjoy, the significant work you do, and the supporting friends you have. Allow yourself to be emotionally protected by these beneficial factors, a safe haven from the negative that they bring. There is no such thing as cowardice when it comes to limiting your exposure, both physically and emotionally. Protecting your inner peace and practicing self-care are both important. Stoics have a strong belief in the importance of leading a moral life and acting rationally. When you reduce the amount of time you spend interacting with negative people and situations, you make room for yourself to nurture a good and flourishing inner life. Imagine that your fortress is encircled by a large moat, which in addition to being a physical barrier, also serves as an emotional barrier, protecting your peace from the advancing negativity of poisonous people. Number 8. Build your support system. Just for a moment, picture yourself serving as a guard at the entrance to your inner castle. Your walls have been strengthened with boundaries. You have perfected the art of non-reaction, and you have reduced the number of toxic people you are present with. However, in order to fully defend your position, even the most courageous warrior requires a powerful phalanx, which is a formation of trustworthy allies. Your support system is your stoic phalanx, an essential component in ensuring that you maintain your inner serenity when you are engaged in the fight against negativity. The Stoics, especially notably philosophers such as Seneca, placed a strong emphasis on the significance of living a life that is in harmony with nature. These guiding principles are exemplified by a network of virtuous individuals who are supportive of you, who inspire you, and who share your fundamental beliefs. In difficult times, you may turn to them for support and guidance. They are the people who will listen to you, offer wise counsel, and provide unwavering encouragement. One way in which a robust support system might serve as a buffer against the negative influence of toxic individuals is as follows. In the process of dealing with toxic people, it can be emotionally draining to have a safe space for sharing. It is possible to create a secure environment in which to analyze your experiences and express your frustrations. When you have trusted friends or family members to whom you can confide, their comprehension and compassion can serve as a vital support system, reminding you that you are not fighting this struggle alone. Toxic people frequently take away from your sense of self-worth, but they may also be a source of encouragement. An effective support system serves as a counterforce, providing you with encouragement and reminding you of your abilities and the value you bring to the world. Their faith in you has the power to strengthen your determination and rekindle the fire that burns inside you, particularly in situations where negativity threatens to extinguish it. Setting an example of virtue and positivity, the Stoics held the belief that it is important to surround oneself with individuals who exemplify the characteristics that one wishes to cultivate. A network of virtuous individuals who are supportive of one another might serve as a positive role model. It is possible to learn and develop by seeing the strength, resilience, and optimistic outlook that they possess. This will help you increase your own capacity to gracefully manage negative situations. The process of constructing a solid network of support is one that never ends. In order to accomplish this, you will need to cultivate relationships that already exist and look for people who match your beliefs. Here are some ways to do so. Invest in quality time. Set aside time to have meaningful interactions with the people who are responsible for your support. You may build a sense of connection by sharing your experiences, listening to theirs, and sharing your own. Joining clubs, volunteer organizations, or online communities that align with your interests and values is a great way to bring together people who share your values and interests. This place is filled with people who share your values, and who can serve as a natural source of support and encouragement. It is important to remember that the power of showing gratitude to those who are supporting you can never be underestimated. Please express your gratitude to them for the great influence they have on your well-being, as well as for their presence in your life and their unflinching support. Through the cultivation of a robust Stoic phalanx, you may establish a formidable shield that protects you from the negativity caused by poisonous people. Strength, perspective, and a revitalized sense of optimism are all things that you acquire when you are surrounded by positive influences. Always keep in mind that even the most well-guarded fortress might benefit from a robust defense from the outside. Your support system, which consists of your trusty companions, transforms into your unyielding phalanx, guaranteeing that your inner serenity continues to possess a secure and protected sanctuary. Number 9. Prioritize self-care. Making contact with toxic individuals is analogous to being confronted with an unrelenting assault. In combat, the emotional energy that you have is depleted, and you may end up feeling exhausted as a result. When it comes to protecting yourself against negativity, self-care becomes an essential component. Just as a Stoic warrior would make it a priority to tend to their wounds and sharpen their blade after a battle, your Stoic style of living should include self-care as a fundamental component. Include it in your daily routine and think of it as an investment in your mental well-being. Make it a priority alongside other vital chores and schedule it into your calendar. Your emotional reserves can be replenished, and your resistance to negativity can be strengthened through the following approaches to self-care. 1. Participate in activities that bring you joy. Determine the activities that bring you actual delight and can help you relax. Exercises that are physical in nature, such as running or yoga, as well as artistic activities such as painting or writing, could fall under this category. You are able to de-stress, recharge your emotional batteries, and return to the world with newfound energy and perspective when you immerse yourself in these activities. 2. Engage in awareness practices. The Stoics engaged in awareness practices analogous to meditation. Through the practice of meditation, you are able to calm your mind, disengage from negative thoughts, and create inner peace. When you make meditation a regular part of your self-care regimen, you give yourself a great tool to manage stress and negativity, whether it comes from yourself or from other toxic people. 3. Seek solace in nature. The Stoics placed a strong emphasis on living in agreement with the natural world. Spending time in natural settings, whether it be a walk in a park or a hike through the woods, has a significant influence on our overall health and happiness. If you want to alleviate stress, enhance your mood, and gain a sense of perspective that can help you combat the negativity you experience from toxic people, immerse yourself in the natural world as a type of preventative maintenance for your emotional well-being. 4. Listen to the signals your body sends you. Continuous communication is taking place between you and your body. Observe the symptoms of exhaustion, tension, or emotional depletion and pay attention to them. To make self-care a priority, you shouldn't wait until you are utterly exhausted before doing so. Incorporate healthy eating, make sure you get enough sleep, and take breaks throughout the day. The basis for your emotional resilience is laid by these routines, which may appear to be straightforward. 5. Establish boundaries. In the same way that you established boundaries with people who are toxic to you, you should also establish boundaries around the time you spend on self-care. Deny requests that might interfere with your time to relax, or set aside certain times throughout the day to engage in activities that promote self-care. Always keep in mind that putting your own well-being first is not an act of selfishness. Rather, It is necessary for preserving your emotional resilience. You can become a more powerful and well-balanced individual by implementing self-care into your Stoic way of life. A Stoic warrior would be prepared to meet any adversary, and you can approach obstacles with a better perspective and emotional fortitude. It is important to remember that having a full emotional battery enables you to more effectively deflect negativity and radiate positivity, thereby establishing a formidable shield against the toxic people in your circle of existence. Number 10. Remember, it's not about you. Picture yourself with a dark cloud looming over you, spewing out negativity and obscuring your view of the outside world. When you're working with toxic people, you will frequently encounter situations like this. They create a poisonous environment by projecting their own worries, insecurities, and issues onto those around them, which results in people being affected negatively. The concept of prohairesis, which is rooted in Stoic philosophy, serves as a formidable defense mechanism in this context. We are encouraged to view ourselves as intelligent observers who are standing outside of the emotional tornado. Through the use of the phrase prohairesis, utilized by Stoic philosophers, we become impartial analyzers of the issue, separating ourselves from the negative aspects of the scenario and concentrating on the rational aspects. When interacting with toxic people, it is essential to maintain this level of detachment because the insults and negativity they express are rarely directed at the individual. Rather, they are reflections of the individual's own inner issues. You can navigate the toxicity of toxic people by utilizing Stoic detachment in the following ways. 1. Discern the projection. Toxic people frequently resort to blaming others, criticizing others, and being negative in order to divert attention away from their own inadequacies. You are able to discern this projection for what it is by applying prohairesis. Distancing yourself from the emotional undercurrent will allow you to observe their conduct in an impartial manner, much like a scientist investigating a phenomenon. You will comprehend that their negativity is a product of their own internal landscape and not a reflection of you or your worth. When you have the ability to detach yourself from the situation for a moment, their behavior is not a reflection of your character. Rather, it is a symptom of themselves and the problems they are experiencing. 2. Understand the dark cloud analogy. Take, for example, the dark cloud. Although it may throw a shadow, it has nothing to do with the ground that it momentarily obscures from view. The sky above still has the sun blazing brightly. Epictetus, a major Stoic philosopher, tells us that it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. This highlights the need to focus on your Stoic path. The length of our lives is sufficient, and a considerable quantity has been bestowed upon us for the most important reasons, provided that we make the most of it correctly. If you want to avoid wasting your valuable time and energy, you should avoid getting involved with the negative energy of toxic people. Maintain your emotional distance, make it a priority to look after your own health, and keep moving forward on the Stoic path that will lead you to a life filled with virtue and calm. It is not the same thing as apathy to be detached. While it is possible to show compassion for their troubles, it is not necessary for you to become a victim of the emotional storms that they are experiencing. You can protect your inner calm and emotional well-being by practicing Stoic detachment, which requires you to change from a passive target into a centered observer. It is important to keep in mind that the sun is still shining brilliantly above the mountains of clouds. Number 11. Don't try to fix them. The desire to mend, heal, and engage in the role of a therapist can be powerful, particularly when you are confronted with a person you care about who engages in behaviors that are harmful to others. On the other hand, in the sphere of Stoicism, this road frequently results in frustration, and a depletion of one's own emotional reserves. When it comes to cultivating transformation, toxic individuals, like plants suffocated by weeds, require their own willpower and work. This transition cannot be compelled by any means for the following reasons. 1. Focus on what you can control. Stoicism places a greater emphasis on concentrating on what you are able to control, which is your own reactions and interactions, rather than making an effort to change a toxic person. The onus of accountability for the actions of a toxic person is entirely on the individual themselves. It is necessary for them to make the deliberate decision to address their negative emotions and seek a way to achieve virtue. Trying to take on this responsibility for them will only result in an unhealthy dynamic and will hinder them from taking responsibility for their own problems. 2. Acceptance of what is beyond your control. One of the fundamental principles of Stoicism is the acceptance of things that are beyond one's ability to control. This includes things like the actions of other people, the circumstances of the outer world, and the ever-changing conditions of existence. The negativity exhibited by a toxic person is a perfect example of this category. By coming to terms with this fact, you liberate yourself from the fruitless effort to alter them. Imagine that your inner tranquility is a blooming garden. The toxic people in your life, with their negative attitude, are like weeds that threaten to suffocate the growth you have painstakingly cultivated. You are wasting your time and effort by attempting to uproot them in the garden of another person. 3. Focus on your own growth. Put your attention on things that are important to you, such as establishing positive connections, tending to your virtues, and engaging in self-care practices. Stoic philosophy places a high importance on assisting others in achieving virtue. If you feel compelled, there are ways to encourage a toxic person to engage in self-reflection. However, it is important to keep in mind that you have limitations. Instead of trying to dictate the path that they should take to change, you should offer materials that could potentially stimulate their own introspection, such as a book on good communication, a recommendation for a therapist, or even a kind suggestion to evaluate the consequences of their actions. 4. Lead by example. Depending on the circumstances, you can have the most significant influence on others by demonstrating Stoic principles in your own life. This is the most effective way to lead by example. You have the ability to act as a beacon, a monument to the transformational power of Stoic ideas. Through your calm attitude, measured responses, and unwavering emphasis on virtue, you can show the positive impact of these principles. Sometimes, despite your best attempts, a toxic person will continue to be entrenched in their negativity. It is important to know when to get away from them. In circumstances like these, Stoicism recommends establishing boundaries and, if necessary, withdrawing from the situation in order to safeguard your own well-being. Keep in mind that you are unable to influence their journey, but you have the ability to choose your own path. 5. Transform from fixer to facilitator. Through the process of internalizing these ideas, you will convert yourself from a frustrated fixer into a Stoic facilitator. You are able to provide assistance without jeopardizing your own health, and you can develop a garden that may flourish despite the weeds that may be growing in other areas. Number 12. When to walk away. Imagine if you are seeking safety amid the tranquility of your Stoic castle of refuge. You have developed your emotional detachment and have planted a healthy inner garden. You have also strengthened your walls by establishing limits. Nevertheless, despite your best efforts, the negativity from a toxic individual continues to remain, posing a threat to your defenses. The ability to recognize when it is appropriate to withdraw from a situation is a fundamental Stoic precept. Making the decision to leave a toxic relationship, particularly one that involves close family members or co-workers, can be an extremely difficult decision. Prioritizing your mental health, on the other hand, is of the utmost importance. Stoics believe in leading a moral life and acting rationally, which is directly opposed to maintaining a relationship that undermines your sense of inner calm. This is why Stoic philosophy is consistent with the practice of removing oneself from a harmful situation. 1. Protect your sanctuary. Your inner serenity is your sacred sanctuary, a place of refuge that you develop through self-care, mindfulness, and Stoic practices. A person who is poisonous with their unrelenting negativity is comparable to a persistent siege on your fortress. It is possible to safeguard your emotional well-being and secure your sanctuary by removing yourself from the situation. 2. Focus on what really matters. Put your attention on what truly matters. Seneca, a great Stoic philosopher, reminds us that life is a precious commodity by saying, "The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately." Continuing to be in a relationship that is unhealthy is a waste of this valuable time and energy. By moving away from whatever is holding you back, you give yourself the opportunity to invest in positive connections, meaningful pursuits, and experiences that nourish your spirit and contribute to a flourishing existence. 3. Acceptance of what you cannot change. Accepting what is out of our control is a key component of Stoicism, and other people's behaviors are a prime example of this. Moreover, Stoicism promotes detachment during this period. A decision to walk away from something does not indicate weakness or defeat. Rather, it signifies acceptance of a circumstance that you are unable to change and a deliberate choice to detach from negative emotions. You are not giving up on the individual. Rather, you are giving up on the poisonous dynamic that is detrimental to your body and mind. 4. Consider your actions carefully. Moving on from a situation is not a choice that should be made flippantly. Consider the following factors. Have you tried every other possible course of action? Do you have any experience with communication, establishing limits, or providing resources? Is there a recurring pattern of negativity, or is it a specific instance? Do you feel that the connection has a significant impact on your well-being? It's not necessary for there to be a dramatic scene as you walk away. The gradual withdrawal of contact, politely declining invites, or simply limiting communication are all techniques that can be beneficial. 5. A Stoic act of self-care. Keep in mind that removing yourself from a situation is a Stoic act of protecting your inner calm and a type of self-care. You can live a life led by reason, virtue, and peace if you make your well-being a priority. This will allow you to create room for positive relationships and experiences to develop. Number 13. Forgive yourself. Consider the following scenario. You are about to embark on a lengthy journey, carrying a hefty bag full of hatred and fury toward a poisonous individual. The weight of this burden slows you down, prevents your progress, and drains your energy. Within the Stoic framework, forgiveness is defined as the process of releasing one's emotional baggage, not for the sake of the other person, but for one's own sake. The Stoics placed a strong emphasis on accepting things beyond our control, with the actions of other people serving as a notable example. Harboring hate and resentment towards someone who creates a toxic environment falls clearly into this category. Remaining steadfast in these unfavorable feelings will only cause you harm, contaminating your present and casting doubt on your future. Stoic principles equip you with the ability to forgive yourself and free yourself from the load of negativity in the following ways. 1. Concentrate on your inner landscape. The Stoics believed that true power lies in governing one's own ideas and actions rather than the acts of others or external events. To regain control of your inner landscape and make room for serenity and emotional well-being, you must first forgive yourself and then let go of any animosity you may still harbor. 2. Understanding forgiveness. Forgiveness, in the Stoic understanding, does not involve condoning the behavior of the toxic person. Instead, it is about acknowledging what has occurred, accepting that it is beyond your control, and making the decision to move forward with a lighter heart. The famous Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius tells us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." 3. Breaking the cycle of negativity. Resentment is a prison one creates for oneself. Holding on to it allows the toxic person to continue exerting a detrimental impact on your life even after they are no longer present. Breaking this cycle begins with forgiving yourself, releasing you from the emotional shackles of the past. 4. Practicing forgiveness. The process of forgiving oneself does not happen overnight. To foster forgiveness, recognize your feelings of anger, hurt, or resentment. Repressing these emotions only slows down the healing process. Practice self-compassion by treating yourself with empathy and understanding, evaluating the event objectively, and shifting your perspective to cultivate empathy and understanding. 5. Gift of forgiveness. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. By letting go of the burden of negativity, you make room for emotional healing, progress, and a more rewarding life. Imagine yourself on your journey with a lighter backpack and heart, prepared to embrace future adventures with renewed strength and tranquility. You have the ability to transform yourself from a passive victim of toxic people into a resilient guardian of your inner peace by applying these methods inspired by Stoic philosophical thought. Remember, a life free from negativity is a life worth striving for.